Welcome to this training session. In this session, we're going to go through some of the common system features of EMSWeb. So these are how the website functions, and we're going to run through some of the features that are common to all of the pages on EMSWeb. So if we take a look at the home page of EMSWeb, we'll see that there are some common things that are always available no matter where you go in EMSWeb. One of these things is this section up in the upper right-hand corner. So you'll have a viewing from drop-down menu. And so this indicates what organization that you're looking at in EMSWeb. So everything is broken down from the Navy level down to region and installations. And so EMSWeb works on an organization hierarchy. So if we look at this PowerPoint slide, this is an example of how the hierarchy works in EMSWeb. So we have an organization, in this case, the region CNRH. And underneath it, we have additional installations that belong underneath region CNRH. So in this case, we have multiple levels. So it goes from region CNRH to appropriate facility CNRH. And then underneath that, we have 7 individual installations. Now, the idea behind EMSWeb is that everything rolls up. So if you have information at NAS Barbers Point, then any parent organizations, any organizations higher up in the hierarchy can view that information. So all of the information at the installation level is visible by the regions. Now, if you're at the same level, like we have NAS Barbers Point and Fisk Pearl Harbor. So both of those are installations under region CNRH. Because they're at the same level, they cannot see data between the organizations. And similarly, you can't see data that belongs to organizations from other regions. So when you're entering in information at your installation, it's only visible by the region and higher. So if we go back to EMSWeb, if you have an account at the region, then you can view from either your region level, or you can click into the drop-down menu and you can choose any installation that is below your organization. And then you can go ahead and choose that. So in my case, I have access to all of Navy, so then I can go ahead and I can choose anything at CNIC, at NAVFAC Atlantic, and just drill down to the installation that I am interested in. So if I pick Hampton Roads and then click on Select Organization, then my point of view then changes from Navy to Hampton Roads. Now, the difference in these point of views is that because all of the information gets rolled up, if I'm at Hampton Roads, I only see the information at Hampton Roads and any organizations below it. If I'm at the Navy level, then when I go to a table that displays like the findings, I will see the findings at the Navy level and everything below it. So it essentially rolls up the entire finding data set for the entire Navy at that organization. So you use the viewing from to switch from one organization to another that you have access to. If you only have an EMSWeb account at Hampton Roads, then you can only see information at Hampton Roads, and you can't view information at the region level. If you have multiple EMSWeb accounts, you can use this same viewing from area to switch from one account to another by clicking on the drop-down menu for the user account, and then it will list any additional user accounts that you have, and then you can switch between them. And so if I switch to a different account, so I'm going to go to this NAFL Central account. And so you can see here then that the only organizations that I can access are the ones at NAFL Central and its child organization underneath it, which is Naval Observation Station Flagstaff. So that's the purpose of the viewing from drop-down menu, is to be able to change one organization to another and to be able to switch between user accounts. There is also, in this upper right-hand corner, a couple of other items. One is My Profile, and the other is Settings. So My Profile allows you to enter in additional information about yourself. It's all purely voluntary. None of it is mandatory. So you can put in your additional phone number and additional email addresses if you like to. The application settings, which you can access by either going to My Profile and clicking on Application Settings or going directly to Settings in the upper right-hand corner, details how you want to view the information in EMSWeb. So by default, all of the information gets rolled up to the organization that you are viewing from. So here under the settings, you have the ability to turn that feature off. So if you're at the region level and you only want to see the information that was entered at the region level, you can uncheck this box, and then you won't see any of the information at the installation level. We have various web pages that shows you what tasks are provided to you. By default, this is limited to a specific date range, and the default is to show you the tasks that are due within the next week or 7 days. And you can change this to multiple weeks, 30 days, or 90 days. You can change the background color of all of the bars, and the most useful one that I found is displaying the number of records in a grid. So you can change it anywhere from 10 to 500. So if you're looking at a table that displays all of the findings, you can have it show 10 records in one page, then you'll have to click on the next page to see the next 10. Or you can put in a large number like 100 and see the first 100 findings. And so usually the larger number is more handy, but the downside to that is that it takes longer for the web page to load. So if you have a slow connection, then you might want to have a smaller number like 10 or 20. You can also set the time zone for your user account, so that way whenever the website saves the time, it automatically changes it to that time zone. So I'm going to save my settings, and then it's going to take me back to the home page. The other thing that is constant on every single web page is this area on the right-hand pane for quick links. And so some of them are the same for each user, these top three. So these all have specific functions. One is My Dashboard. And so when you click into My Dashboard, this will display everything in EMSWeb that has been tasked to you or that you are associated with. So if you have been tasked to fill out a checklist, it will show up there. If you are a lead auditor of an audit, then that will show up there. And so my dashboard is broken out into various tables for showing you what you are either tasked with or responsible for. So the first one is for specific tasks. The next table are everything that if you are associated with an audit or inspection. So it shows if you're the lead auditor, the lead POC, or the creator of that audit, it will show up in this table. And then you can click to the audit or inspection, and you can also add findings and observations directly from this table. And so everything that you can be assigned to in EMSWeb is shown under your dashboard. So if you're assigned to a checklist, it will show up here, and you can go directly and fill out that checklist here, or you can also see the previous comments and findings from previous checklists in that series. Similarly, if you are tied to a finding or observation, whether you're the auditor that created the finding, you're the assigned POC, the closure review POC, it will all show up in this table for you. Similar for POAMs and milestones. And then finally, if you are assigned to a data call, all of the open data calls will show up here as well as closed data calls. You can change or customize how you want information to show up in your dashboard. You can click on the Customize My Dashboard link, and then that will give you options for customizing how you want all of these tables to display. So if you don't want the table to show up at all, you can uncheck it. You can change the number of records that show up under each table, and you can change the order in how these tables appear under My Dashboard. And then there are various default filter options for which ones you want to show in the table displays. So, for example, you can, for the data call table, you can choose whether to show closed data calls or ones that you have already submitted. If you uncheck it, then it will only show the open data calls. And so you can, you have various options for most of the other tables in My Dashboard as well. So the intent here is then anything that you're assigned with or associated with, you can go to My Dashboard and get quick, easy way to view it and click into it and get to that specific item. Another quick link that is always available is this Get Support. And so this is basically your help function. And so you can enter in a subject and a message and submit that request. And then that will generate an automated email that goes to all of the EMSWeb administrators, and then someone will get back to you shortly for your request. And this can range from anything from saying, oh, I've received an error message when I went to this page, or I'd like to know how to do something. I have a question about how this specific function works, or if you want to request an update to the functionality of EMSWeb, you can use this Get Support link to request that. For example, on this table, it would be really handy for me if I had this extra column, or I need a report that presents this set of values and data. So all of these things can be sent to the administrators through this Get Support button. The EMSWeb sitemap and guidance link is also available to all personnel. And what this page does is it goes through all of the tabs that are available to everyone and gives a short description of what the intended use of that tab is. A lot of the tabs have hyperlinks to it, so those are the ones that are in blue, and that contains downloadable user guides on that topic. So for example, if I scroll down to the Documents area, you can see that there are hyperlinks for the File Explorer, the Query, and the Document Tracking tabs. And so each one of those will lead to a Word document that you can download, and it will explain all of the functionality of that tab. Also, at the top of this page, there are links to various regions that have created their own user guidance. And so that goes to a custom content page that is maintained by the region. And so you can see the user guidance that they have created specifically for their installation personnel. Okay. If we go to an area that has a table, there are some specific features that are common to most tables as well. So you'll see that there is a quick search text box. And so this will search any of the information displayed on that table for the values that you put in under the quick search text box. So for example, if I wanted to look for installations that had Norfolk in the title, then I could just type in Norfolk, and it will search most of the columns for that information. So then you can see that it's picking up any audits that have Norfolk in the title or that belong to the organization Naval Station Norfolk. There are also additional search fields that you can access. You can do that either once you put in a quick search, or you can click on this filter button. And that displays all of the filter options that you have. So here you can search for a specific type. Pretty much every column that is displayed in the table, you'll be able to filter on. So you can put in a start and end date, search for closed audits, and so on. There's a drop-down arrow here, and that is for any filters that have been saved. So if you have a filter that you know you're going to be using often, you can fill out the search filter criteria and then click Save As. And then you can give it a name, and then it will remember that filter. And so any saved filters are for yourself only. And then you can look under the Save filter for anything that you've saved. And then you can just click on that, and it will bring up the results of that filter. There are also something known as queries in this system, which are where you're querying the database for specific criteria. And so these can include additional criteria that are not on these main tables. And so those also will be displayed under the Save Filters. If you want to do a filter on criteria that is not in this main table that is readily displayed here, then you can click on this Advanced Search. And that will bring up the ability to look under any data field that is associated with this table. And then you can search for all of it. So for example, in this case, you can pick the regulatory media. So that's not displayed on this table, but you can still search or filter for a specific media that this audit is tied to. The other icon that's always present on these tables is this printer icon, and that's for exporting information. And so what this is going to do is it's going to export information for anything for any values that reside in this table. So I can do like a default export, and that will export all of the information in this table and allow you to save it as a Excel spreadsheet. So if I go ahead and save that, then this exact table just got exported and saved as a file on my computer. If you want to use a different export, you can pick them here. And so these contains different templates that information is exported to. So for example, you can create a template that contains the media field for that audit inspection, and then you could export the audits that are listed in this table into that specific template. We also have specific pre-made reports, like a POAM report, and then when you click on that, it will take the information or all of the audits listed in this table and display it into that POAM report. And likewise, you can then go ahead and save it to your desktop or to your computer. So there are various ways of exporting information to your computer, and the combination of being able to filter for information and then exporting that specific data set allows you to really customize what information you get out of the system. There is an icon to the right of the to the name of the tab, and this is a similar export feature, but what this does is it ignores the values in the table and it just exports all the audits that have been entered for that organization. And so then you can run reports that include all of the audits. Okay, so that explains some of the specific options that are always available on the table. The last thing that I want to discuss is when you drill into a specific form page or profile. And so, for example, here we're looking at the external audit for Naval Station Norfolk. And you'll see on this right-hand side pane that when you scroll down, it contains the history of that page. So we know who created this specific audit. and when it was last modified. And so for any web page that's created, like a finding, a poem, a milestone, a document, you'll have this change history available. Also, for all of these types of pages, you also have the notes feature available. And so here, this allows you to write in notes that is specific to this item that you're looking at. So you can add in a note, and then everyone that comes to this item will be able to view the notes that have been added. So this is an easy way to pass information back and forth to other people or to anyone else that is interested in this item.